quarterbacks because we had some fun performances across the NFL landscape yesterday, and none more than Jameis Winston leading the Browns to a 29-24 victory over division rival Baltimore Ravens. And Jameis put on a show. 334 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. That's more passing yards than Deshaun Watson has had in a single game in his Browns career. Had more passing yards and more points in the second half than Deshaun Watson did in any game this season.
Oof.
Matt, what did you see from Jameis, and is this Browns team ready to make a comeback with him at the helm?
Well, let me start with Jameis. I thought he played well yesterday. You look at the numbers, they're very good. 3 passing touchdowns, very good. Game winner over the top, very good. It was kind of the full Jameis experience, though. Right there at the end of the game, he almost throws an interception. It's dropped. By my count, Baltimore had 3 chances for interceptions that they led on the ground. But you exclude those 3 plays that they didn't come up with, right? So they got to make those plays. Jameis made some really good throws. I mean, he made some tight window throws that were impressive, whether it was on crossing routes, whether it was on outbreaking routes, outside the numbers. I thought his accuracy was very good. He handled pressure extremely well. The Ravens defense was sending it. 7 of the last 9 plays of that ball game, the Ravens pressured, and the Browns had an answer for it. Jameis had an answer for it. He made them pay. And that's one of the things as a quarterback you've got to be able to do. When they're going to blitz you, you've got to be able to make them pay. I thought Jameis did an excellent job with that yesterday. Hats off to him. It's not easy to do, sitting all year watching, to come out there and be in rhythm, be on time, and deliver the football the way that he did. It was an impressive performance.
We were told through the first 7 weeks that Deshaun was starting because he was the best guy in practice. Do you think, watching Jameis this week, and I know the turnovers are something you're going to have to live with Jameis. He's going to throw more picks than Deshaun ever did, but he's also going to take fewer sacks, and he's going to make more plays down the football field, as we saw in both those regards against the Baltimore Ravens. Do you think there's any way that was true, that Deshaun was really outperforming Jameis consistently in practice, or do you think that was more of a party line that they had to tout out there because of all the money they're paying Deshaun?
I mean, who knows, right? We don't get to watch a practice tape. I'm not going to sit here and speculate to say that they're not telling us what's going on. It wouldn't be the first time that it's happened in an NFL building. But the way I look at it with the interceptions, I just think the way their football team is built and how they play, you need a quarterback who's going to be aggressive. You need to take some of these chances down the field in order to make plays. Because they got some guys, right? And Njoku was awesome yesterday. The seam route that they hit for the touchdown, over the top, kind of, right off that's the kind of stuff, I think given how they're built, those are the kind of shots that you have to take. You've got to put balls up and give guys opportunities. And I think we all fall in love with stat lines because of fantasy football and no turnovers or whatever. But the objective of playing quarterback is put your team in position to win. And I think given that the way they're built, I think kind of some of those aggressive throws down the field could benefit them moving forward.
And I think you could see it from Jump Street. I mean, this group, even in the tunnel, they had a different energy about them. And when Jameis is giving a pregame speech, and I'm not much for pregame speeches and the rah-rah element. I still think you got to put your hand in the dirt and kick somebody's ass in this league. But I give credit to this Cleveland Browns team who has kept their head in the ball game throughout the entire season, albeit after some really tough losses with the guy they had out there at quarterback. You get Jameis Winston, all of a sudden, a team that we looked at before the season as a team that had a pretty good roster, could make a run of things. They're alive again with Jameis Winston. So I give them a tremendous amount of credit to be able to compartmentalize, find a way not only to get a win, to beat the Baltimore Ravens. This is a huge win in the division, a rivalry, and you can see the guys. It meant a lot to them to have Jameis Winston out there. I love to see that, and they're dangerous now. And I think if you're in the Browns building, you go from having one of the worst sets of a couple months in memory to now you beat the Baltimore Ravens. You got a chance to right the ship here in the back half of the season. It's exciting.
For sure. I agree. And given what their defense, I mean, their defense is pretty good. And so, I think it does give them a little shot of life in the arm. We saw Njoku making plays. Jerry Jeudy was making plays. This is we had guys out there making plays, which I think every Browns fan has been screaming to see for the last 7 weeks.
I'm glad he touched on Njoku because Njoku is a physical specimen. And I know that you would be taking advantage of David Njoku. And I think that with him in the offense with Deshaun, he wasn't sure that he was going to be given the same type of opportunities that he has had in games in years past. But with Jameis Winston, to your point, there's a team that needs to take chances, strike down the field. Njoku, the perfect kind of guy for that kind of play style.
And Winston took a bunch of chances. 11 completions of 15-plus air yards in that game.
Go.
Deshaun had all of 10 all season long. So Jameis slinging it, and then it can't be understated how much that just invigorates your defense, right? Like the Deshaun Watson was playing demoralizing brand of football with how many sacks he was taking, with how many 3-and-outs they had.
You got to be perfect
at least
on
if
defense
Jameis
to
is
stay
throwing,
alive.
Yeah, exactly. At least if Jameis is throwing turnovers now, like you have a defense that knows that, hey, if we let this up, our offense could come back and score some points for us. So I think that all around, if you're a Browns fan today, you're a lot happier than you were a couple weeks back.